So this was going around for the other day. An article published in the New York Times. Men, where have you gone? Please come back. So many men have retreated from intimacy, hiding behind firewalls and filters and curated personas, dabbling and scrolling. We miss you. Oh, well, that's a very interesting thing to say, because the question is, why have they done this? And I'm not saying that the person who wrote this, Rachel Drucker, is in any way ill-intentioned or anything like that. It's just very interesting how what she's asking for and what she is directly in conflict. So what feminism and women have done and the effect that it has had on men that they didn't care about until the actually not even negative necessarily, but just the consequences of their own actions and their own choices have come about. And so now they're looking at a world without the men that they sought to supplant, and are saying, well, okay, but why aren't they here? Why aren't they a part of our lives that we wanted while we were having everything? And it's like, well, that's because you can't have everything, actually. Some things come at a price, and you decided that you weren't going to pay the price for one thing, and the result of that disappeared elsewhere. So anyway, she talks about how she's out on a date with someone called Troy. They've known each other for 20 years. Apparently they met a Playboy, learning how to be pornographers, which, okay, I believe it. But anyway, she says that she's out on this date, or ish, with him. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. But she says, that night we made the effort. Still, what I saw unfolding around us felt like something else entirely. A collective shift that I couldn't see. It started to become clear the previous April when a man who had been pursuing me cancelled dinner at the last minute. There was a scheduling mix-up with his son's game. I understood, I'm a hockey mum, I get it. Still, I went, I wore what I would have worn anyway, I took the table I ordered well, and I watched the room. Only 2 tables nearby seemed to hold actual dates. The rest were groups of women or women alone, each one occupying her space with quiet confidence. No shrinking, no waiting, no apologising. That night marked something, not a heartbreak but an unveiling, a sense that what I'd been experiencing wasn't just personal misalignment but something broader, cultural, a slow vanishing of presence. She carries on, talking about in the sort of world of pornography, there's no need for conversation, no effort, no curiosity, no reciprocity. No one's feelings to consider, no vulnerability to navigate, just a closed loop of consumption. What struck me most wasn't the extremity of the content but the emotional vacancy behind it. The way many men had quietly withdrawn from intimacy and vulnerability, not with violence or resistance, but with indifference. It's not indifference, but anyway. They weren't sitting across from someone on a Saturday night trying to connect. They were scrolling, dabbling, disappearing behind firewalls, filters, and curated personas. While they disappeared, women continued to gather, to tend, to notice who wasn't arriving and to show up anyway. I'm 54, I've been dating since the mid-80s and been married, been mother, gotten divorced, had many relationships, long and short. I remember that when part of the heterosexual male culture involved showing up with a woman to signal something. Status, success, desirability. Women were once signifiers of value, even to other men. It wasn't always healthy, but it meant men had to show up and put in some effort. That dynamic has quietly collapsed. We have moved into an era where many men no longer seek women to impress other men or to connect across difference. They perform elsewhere alone. They've filtered us out. Now that is just fascinating to me. That is an absolutely fascinating thing. So we'll go through this in a bit more detail now. Because again, this is just you get what you deserve, right? You asked for it, you campaigned for it, you altered the structure of the economy and the reality that we live in to make it happen, and then you're looking at the consequence and go, well, hang on a second, how is this happening to us? It's like, yeah, how indeed? It's genuinely incredible. So you've got this, right? The rest were the groups of women alone, each occupying a space with quiet confidence, no shrinking, no waiting, no apologising, no consideration, right? I love the feminist occupying space. Trust me, women have always occupied space. That's never been in doubt. But they're all just sat on their own, being alone, as in, you don't need anything from the men. You've got your quiet confidence. You're not shrinking, you're not waiting, not apologising. The men are irrelevant. This is actually the attitude of men. This is the kind of attitude that you want in a man who is confident in himself, in his own person, who is not on the back foot constantly, and who is capable of handling things, right? That's what the kind of man the culture used to produce. Now it's the kind of woman the culture produces. Well, that's all well and good, but men aren't looking for this. Right? This is not what men want. And so you can be like quietly confident, occupying space all you want, but you're going to do it on your own. And this is what this article is about. A vanishing of presence. Not interested in it. I wouldn't go out with a woman who was like this. Why would I? What does she need from me? Why would I feel necessary to her? How would I feel needed? Like, this is not what I would be looking for in a woman, like, at all. And so it's crazy how 54 years in, and you're like, God, where have all the men gone all of a sudden? They used to want things from us. It's like, yeah, because you used to want things from them. And now it's just, I'd just like you to be here. It's like, okay, but I don't have to be. And that doesn't satisfy what I'm looking for. So I'm not going to be. Right? Again, I love this. No effort, no curiosity, no reciprocity, no one's feelings to consider. And so the emotional disconnect. Now, this is something that is just really, really interesting because she thinks it's been done with indifference. That's not true. I think for a lot of men that the withdrawal into themselves has been done with a kind of quiet heartbreak and just a genuine sadness, right? It looks probably from the outside like indifference, right? It probably does look like indifference, where these men just end up ghost. I mean, she talks about how she's been ghosted, right? She's been ghosted on this date. So again, to her, it just kind of looks like just they're not interested. But what it is that you're not really interested in them. Right? That's the issue. You have all of the things that men used to give to women are not needed by you. You have your own money, you have your own security, you have your own job, you have your own house, you have your own everything. So you don't really need anything from us, right? So why would I want to be a part of it? I want to be wanted. I want to be needed. Like, part of my raison d'etre as a man is to provide for my family. Part of why I do anything, why I bother getting up in the morning, is because I know there are people relying on me, and you don't rely on anyone. And so, from your point of view, these men who are just like, yeah, I'm just not going to bother. Just not going to bother. She doesn't do it for me. I mean, if she's into me, it's in a kind of personal vanity way. Like, they say, male culture used to be showing up with a woman signals something. Almost what it feels like for you to say, well, why aren't the men showing up? Like, we were supposed to be signaling something. And it's like, okay, but you're signaling to a room full of other women who are heterosexual and lonely and sat alone on their in having their own dinners or whatever. Like, that also was something that women signaled, right? Oh, I've got a high status man. My husband earns lots of money, blah blah blah, and so they could feel better than the other women, frankly. But this isn't. There's no masculine competition. Well, not no, but the lack of masculine competition is what you're asking, and it's because men have been dethroned from their position as the breadwinner. If you're not going to let them be the masculine patriarch of a household, why would I bother signaling value? Because what difference does it make? And this isn't about this isn't about you. This is about, well, it is. That's not true. It is about you, but it's about something you don't realize that you've done. And by saying no, we need to be the equals of men. We need to have affirmative action for women. We need women, girl bosses everywhere. Okay, well, this is the consequence because you've turned yourself into men. Right? That's all you're doing is turning yourself into providers. We're not looking for providers. We're looking for the people who want to be provided for. And so now she is left lamenting the culture that feminism created. Look at this. Women were once signifiers of value, even to other men. It wasn't always healthy, but it meant men had to show up and put in some effort. That's right. It wasn't always healthy. A lot of the time, it could be quite chauvinistic. But it provided something you didn't realize you wanted until you lost it. And now it's gone, and now you don't know what to do. Now you're writing articles in the New York Times saying, men, can you please go on dates with us? I was like, why would I? Why would I want to? Like, what's the reason? Like, genuinely tell me why I would need to. You don't need me. And therefore, why do I need you? This bit is just really interesting. That dynamic has quietly collapsed. It wasn't that quiet. It was to the sound of screeching harpies going, feminism, patriarchy, manspreading, and all this other bullshit. Me too, right? That got into, okay, well, men are not going to seek to impress women or other men with women, or connect across the difference. Like, they perform elsewhere alone, they've filtered us out. Yeah, you made yourself not really very appealing, frankly, right? The world you created isn't the world that men wanted, and the world men wanted had something in it that you found desirable. But instead, you decided to weaponize the power of female victimhood to recreate the world in an image you thought was desirable, and in your arrogance and your hubris, you didn't realize that you failed to create a position of honor for men. In fact, the entire feminist movement was about dethroning men from their position of honor and giving that to women. And now there's no honor for a man to be gained by doing any of these things. They don't do them. So they've filtered you out. Why wouldn't I? Why would I bother? Like, I would find more respect in a Call of Duty chat room than I would going on a date with a feminist woman. At least if I came top of the scoreboard, don't get me wrong, I'm not a Call of Duty player. I'm not going to come top of the bloody scoreboard, especially at my age. But at least then you can brag. At least you have some bragging rights in that. That's something that you've achieved that other people didn't. What am I getting from this? Like, seriously, what is the appeal that she thinks that she's putting out there? She carries on and says, look, I recently experienced a flicker of possibility with James. We met on a dating app. There was something mutual from the start, wordplay. So she's looking for, like, if, you know, the fleeting connections that matter. And she thinks, okay, well, maybe there's sexual tension there, blah, blah, blah. But he ends up ghosting her. Okay, well, there we go. Obviously, you were just doing this for you, right? You're like, oh, I wanted to create a spark, excitement. But maybe he's looking for something else, right? And I'm sure all of these men who have ghosted you, and it seems like I've known dozens, like, you're not providing them with vulnerability themselves. You're like, oh, why aren't men vulnerable with us? Well, why aren't you? Why are you a strong, independent woman who takes up space? Like, what? Why would I want to spend my time with that? Where is your vulnerability that I can take care of, that I can be the active partner in the relationship? And you're just sat there going, well, I guess I don't know what's going on. You know, and she even laments that, like, one-night stands used to at least have some human connection, but now we've built so many boundaries and we've walled off the very moments that make connection memorable. Yeah, you don't understand what feminism has done to men, right? You've literally gelded, as C.S. Lewis put it, and bid the geldings be fruitful. You've taken away their manliness, and now you're saying, why aren't you just going to be manly with us? It's like, sorry, you did this to men, and now men are just not interested in you. You've created a generation of emotional eunuchs, and you wonder why they're not interested in getting into bed with you. It's like, sorry, you did this. And she says, it's not about blaming men. No, you're damn right it's not. You're damn right it's not. Do you know who's to blame? It's women. Women are to blame for this. Right? And until women, collectively through feminism, the power of feminism, take some personal responsibility on this and say, yeah, no, okay, actually we did seek to supplant men. We did seek to drive them out of the boardrooms, out of all of the professions, really, and supplant them to essentially, for our own ego, really. You know, because really it's not what women actually want. Women actually don't want to be corporate boss babes and stuff like that, generally. I mean, a small percentage of women will want that, but like mostly women do not want that. And to satisfy this very small percentage of women, men themselves as a class have been dethroned. And so it's like, it's not about blaming men. No, well, how about this? Get fucked. No one cares if you blame men, because it's been literally, 30, 40 years of feminism blaming men for everything. And now they're like, well, they're just filtering us out. They don't care what we have to say. Yeah, well, there we go. Keep blaming men. Don't blame men. Nobody cares. Until you go, you know what? Actually, I'm not sure women should be the breadwinner. Men aren't coming back. That's what this boils down to. Until you go, you know what, actually, maybe I shouldn't be earning as much as I'm earning because I'm putting men out of job, men who could be providing for a family. I'm actually taking a job they're taking, but I'm living a nice singleton life in my 50s in the city. I'm sure she's got a lovely apartment. I bet that, you know, every day she's got everything she wants all the time, except for the company of men. And what she's doing by occupying this position is also denying that to other women, just FYI. But anyway, I just find this really funny. We remember you, that version of you that lingered at the table, that laughed from the chest, that asked questions and waited for the answers. That kind of man that used to be a provider, the kind of man that used to have excellence. He used to have a career, he used to have a stock of wealth and a stock of experience, and that was slowly but surely, incrementally taken away by feminists. That was the feminist movement withered that away in men, and so now we just aren't producing the kind of men you're looking for. And those of us that are still going, well, we're all married now, so I'm not going on a date with you. And no, I know lots of men that you're talking about. They all got snatched up by women who actually wanted to be married, right? And they're still married to them. She says, you're not gone, but your presence is thinning. Yeah, well, you know, that's too bad. You've retreated not into malice, but into something softer and harder all at once. Avoidance, exhaustion, and disrepair. Yeah, maybe, but until you need something from us, and it always used to be for a man, you redeemed yourself through your work, right? A man, and this is another thing about the workplace as well. All of these little hectoring, henpecking, me, I'm going to HR because he said something to me. It wouldn't matter 20 years ago, because it's like, okay, but what are his results like? You know, what's his production like? Oh yeah, you know, he might have said that to you, but he gets 20% more done than everyone else, so you can piss off because we're keeping this guy, right? It used to be that a man was validated by his work, but no longer the case. And so you've taken away the honour of being the hard-working breadwinner, and so you don't get the men who laugh from the chest. You don't get the men who feel, not paternalistic, but I guess kind of patriarchal towards women, because the women have replaced him and don't need anything from him. So this kind of guy is just not produced anymore. And you can say, well, you know, this isn't your fault. It's like, no, it's not. It's your bloody fault. She says this. And you can still come back. No. Not by becoming someone else, but by remembering what connection feels like when it's honest and slow, when it's earnest and messy and sacred. You can't do it with these women who don't need anything from you. Again, you don't seem to understand. You don't need him. Until women need men, this sort of thing is going to keep happening.